We begin in the Central African Republic, where the Seleka rebel group coalition have seized control of the capital, Bangui, forcing President Francois Bozize to flee to neighboring Cameroon. The United States, France and regional power broker Chad quickly denounced the coup and called on Seleka leader Michel Djotodia to respect the terms of a January power-sharing agreement signed in the Gabonese capital, Libreville. Now, witnesses reported heavy fighting in Bangui early Sunday as the rebels fought their way through the capital on their way to taking over the presidential palace. Authorities did not say officially where President Bozize has fled, but some reports say that he is in Cameroon. South Africa says 13 of its soldiers were killed and 27 others wounded in fighting with rebels. Seleka began its offensive in December, capturing about one-third of the country. The rebels later reached a peace deal with the government in regionally mediated talks, but have accused President Bozize of breaking the agreement. Now, Mr. Bozize has led the CAR since taking power in a 2003 coup. Meanwhile, the United Nations is also joining the chorus of condemnation of the coup. Joining us via Skype from Nairobi with more insight on the situation is our East Africa correspondent, Gabe Joselow. Thank you so much for being with us today, Gabe.
Thank you, Ndimyake.
Well, obviously, this latest move by the rebels is kind of in violation of the January agreement between them and the government, correct?
That's true. The Libreville agreement did call for an extension of the ceasefire agreement that initially led to those peace talks that culminated in January. So, yeah, you could say that these hostilities are in violation. The rebels will tell you that actually it was President Bozize who violated the agreement first.
Now, go a little deeper into this violation. What was the expectation of the rebels from President Bozize? What did he not meet that he was supposed to?
I think the main condition that the rebels are concerned with was a clause that was calling for an amnesty and a reintegration of rebels who had fought against the government in the past and were part of the Seleka coalition. Basically, a lot of these rebels were former soldiers who wanted to resume their positions in the military or be given better positions within sort of civilian life and feel that President Bozize wasn't acting fast enough or swift enough and to actually reintegrate a lot of these fighters. So after only about 2 months that the agreement was signed, the tensions started to build, and eventually Seleka started the march again, and as we all know, took over Bangui over the weekend.
Mm-hmm. Now, the rebel leader Michel Djotodia has declared himself president, at least the interim president for now. What is the implication of this?
Yeah, he emerged as one of the as sort of the key leader among the group. It really wasn't certain who was in charge. Again, you have about 5 rebel factions within this this coalition. It is what we do know is that as far as now that they're in power, they have indicated that they do want to uphold some of the other clauses of the Libreville agreement, which include allowing an opposition leader to take on the position of prime minister and to lead a unity government, and also to hold elections within 2 to 3 years. So we really don't know if if Seleka plans to really maintain an administration, if they're going to plan to rule the country long term. I think a lot of that is yet to be seen. We'll have to see what they do in the coming days and weeks.
And of course, the AU has suspended the CAR from its membership and all activities from between now and then. And my final question before you go, Gabe, has to do with how Mr. Bozize seemed to have managed to get out of the CAR unscathed and end up, as reports are saying, in Cameroon. Any insight that you can give us into that?
There was a lot of mystery about his whereabouts in the hours after the capital fell. A lot of speculation he had been in DRC, which is just across the river from Bangui. And then we got word from the president's office in Cameroon that he had fled there, although the details of how he made his escape and where he's headed next are still unknown at this point.
And a lot of humanitarian, at least in terms of refugees, fleeing Bangui because of what has been going on. That's quite extensive too, a cause of concern, obviously.
That's right, yeah, and we had seen a lot of refugee movement during Seleka's first sort of hostile action in December. And now that the capital has fallen, you've also seen a lot of NGOs, including the UN, pull out a lot of their staff. The International Rescue Committee just announced that they've pulled out some staff. And in a country that's very heavily dependent on NGO services, on food aid, on all of these things, it could have a very tough impact on the civilian population.
Well, thank you so much. That's Gabe Joselow, our East Africa correspondent, joining us via Skype from Nairobi in Kenya.